Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 110 of the ParkLane Podcast. As you can see, it's just me at the moment. And let's talk about today. Before we talk about today, this is what we need after today. Because Tottenham Hotspur, being Tottenham Hotspur once again, have done exactly what we as Spurs fans expect Tottenham Hotspur to do. Before I get into that, I'll get into some of the comments. Luke, who's all the way over in Dubai, I believe at the moment, or Abu Dhabi, somewhere. I don't know where he is in the world. Tuning in. Thank you, Luke. As always, Jay is here as well. Good evening to you, Jay. A couple of comments from Jay, which we'll touch upon as we go through. Romero injured again. It definitely should have been a red. I guess Caicedo. And what to say about that? The injuries keep on coming. So I'm going to jump straight into Chelsea. Bournemouth can come kind of later because Peter's in the chat as well. Big up, Pete, mate. 604 in Melbourne. I really appreciate you jumping on. Where's his mum? Joining just me tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a despondent mood. I've got the beer on the go. Let's talk about that game. So who's to blame? Who's to blame for this mess? All I keep seeing is it's Ange's fault. Ange Postecoglou. It's all him to blame. Everything is Ange's fault. The reality of it is, I understand why people say what they say because he does make decisions a little bit late, but it isn't all Ange's fault. Let's get that out of the way first. The biggest problem at Tottenham Hotspur is the spineless bunch of players we have at this club. The players who don't know how to dig in when the going gets tough, don't know how to put a foot in when they need to, make stupid, rash decisions at stupid times. And you can talk about Caicedo should have been sent off, or you can talk about the fact that, we went 2-0 up and, we sat back and we kind of let Chelsea get back into the game. And you can talk about all of that. Or, as Luke said, why our two centre-backs were rushed back. But the reality of it is, what it comes down to is the same thing as it always is with Tottenham. It's mentality. The mentality of this club. The mentality of the players that play for this club. The leadership on and off the field. These are professional players that are paid vast amounts of money and they haven't got a backbone between them. That's the problem. You go 2-0 up at home against Chelsea. You're flying. We look great for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. First two goals, we look brilliant, And then we do what Tottenham do. We allow Jadon Sancho to score. Pedro Porro, poor defending. Let's talk about the positives first. Solanke, great finish for the first goal. Obviously, we got a touch of fortune with Cucurella slipping all over the place. But that's what we've been looking for from Solanke. That type of movement, that type of finish is exactly what we want. Second goal again, Cucurella, another slip. Again, slipping over, allowing us to get in and Porro to assist Kulu. Kulu obviously cut across the box and scored. But after that point, I'm going to be honest, and I'm a man that speaks how it is. We were fucking dog shit. We were shit. The reality of it is, as a club, I struggle to sit here and take it. Now, everyone's saying Ange out and Ange out and Ange out. What? So we can rinse and repeat the same cycle. So we can do the same thing. So we can get a Graham Potter in, start winning straight away, look really good. And then the players let down the manager once again. It honestly felt to me like the last half an hour of that game that the players were trying to get the manager to sack because we were just all over the place. I didn't really get it. The mentality is shocking. And Luke makes a really good point. Why is it that we can change players and the manager, but the mentality is still the same? I'm going to be honest with you, Luke. You know my opinion on this. The mentality comes from the top. The mentality comes from the ownership. It comes from an ownership buying watches for players, congratulating on getting to a Champions League final rather than winning the thing. That's where the mentality comes from. And unfortunately, what happens is poison is slow, but it spreads. And when that poison spreads, it spreads throughout the whole team. You know, as Wes and I've just said, we just threw it away, and it's a common theme with Tottenham. And this is a hard thing for me to do, to come on this show and do it on my own. But I just felt like I needed to vent and let off a little bit of steam and talk about how it feels to be a Spurs fan, because nobody really knows how it feels to be a Spurs fan unless you're actually a Spurs fan. We are no bigger than West Ham in terms of recent success. They're bigger than us. They won a European trophy. Yeah, you can call it a Mickey Mouse trophy, but they've won something. We think we deserve to be among the elite of clubs. We think we deserve to be Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, etc. Based on what? Based on a few trophies back in the 80s, you know, an FA Cup, you know, or, you know, realistically, or a couple of League Cups in the early 2000s. I've said this before, I've seen us lift 2 trophies, and it's the Carling Cup twice. So we don't deserve to be among those elite clubs. And when you have an owner who runs this club as a business and not a football club, what tends to happen is people look at us as a business, more of a football club. The players come in and it's all about business. It's all about, you know, getting their paychecks and going home. They know that as a football club, we're not about glory. We say the game is about glory, but it's not. The game is about money, to Daniel Levy. So I just think that, as I said before, the ownership is the biggest problem. We can sack Ange Postecoglou tonight, but guess what, Spurs fans? Nothing changes. We go through that same cycle again. We get a new manager. We get a new manager bounce. Everyone's like, hey, we're back. We look great. You know, we're going to do great. Then the drop-off starts. Then the character of the player starts to show again. Ange has made some funny decisions. He's not completely void of blame. I thought leaving Maddison on the bench today was a mistake. You know, he does make these weird decisions when you look at Sarr and you look at Basuma today struggling throughout the whole game. You know, Basuma must have been high on balloons, because what the hell he was doing for that penalty, I'll never know. It just, you know, he doesn't change things when it needs to be changed. It's not effective management, and that's the biggest problem. You know, I don't want a reactive manager. I get that Ange wants to play his system and he wants to play his style, but if you don't have the players capable of playing how you want to play, or playing the style you want to play, or a goalkeeper that can play out from the back, change your style. It's as simple as that, because it's entertaining as fuck, you know, this up and down basketball game stuff. But as a football fan and as a Spurs fan, we don't have the players of a Chelsea. We don't have that quality that we can just rely on from the bench. So when we're watching Brennan Johnson get injured and we're having to bring on Timo Werner, you know, for example, if Chelsea lose Jackson, they bring on Nkunku. You know, they've got £1 billion squad assembled. You know, I thought the Chelsea manager was quite clever at half-time when he put Caicedo back in the middle. It just literally stopped us dead in our tracks, and that's where the game got away from us. So, you know, the reality of it is we don't have the squad capable of playing how Ange wants them to play. And he's never going to get that squad, because you're competing against elite level teams that will spend billions of pounds at the drop of a hat. We don't do that, even though we have the financial resources to do that. So, but let's jump on the comments quickly. Pete, the reality is we're 3 to 4 players short. Pete, well, I agree with you, mate. We're always 3 to 4 players short, and that's the issue. It is always Tottenham Hotspur 3 to 4 players short, and that's never going to change, because we have like I said to you before, we have an owner that's happy with finishing in top 4. But where do we sit now? And then remind me where we sit in the league right now. I think we're 11th, 12th, 13th, something like that. You know, how long does this owner, who loves money so much, go on risking the fact that we might not make Europe? You know, I'm not saying we won't, but we're not going to get top 4, not going to get Champions League. We're well off that. So yeah, we are 3 to 4 players short, but we're always 3 to 4 players short. That's generally how I look at it. Luke's jumped in. 3 to 4 high quality players. Again, Luke, it's that same old adage, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's that same old high quality players. What defines high quality? What defines a player that you want, a high quality player that you need? Is it going and spending 80 million on a player? Because we've seen that we thought Tanguy Ndombele was a high quality player. It turned out he was just a burger munching slob who couldn't do anything, you know. So whilst I do agree we are 3 to 4 high quality players short, a lot has to be said for our recruitment and the recruitment process. Ange Postecoglou made a comment before the start of the season saying he was happy with the signings. He wouldn't have done anything differently. I bet he's regretting saying that now. Luke, again, respect for coming on alone. It'll be good therapy for you. Yeah, it's yes and no, mate. I'd like someone to argue with. So if anyone in the chat wants to jump on with me, let me know and I'll ping you the link. But, you know, talking about the game today, just want to get back into the game a little bit. Obviously, Jay's still in here. Both centre-backs will rush back. Yeah, we knew that. And Pete, what is the rebuild team that isn't up to it yet? And whilst I agree it is a rebuild and we're not up to it yet, do you honestly believe that we're going to be up to it? Do you believe that the players that we have at this squad at the moment are up for it, more importantly? Do you believe that as a club we are going to back the manager effectively to sign the players he wants to sign to make sure we're up for it? These are questions that I just can't answer and questions that... I'm so angry. Excuse me. I just think that today we are our own worst enemies. You're playing against Chelsea. Their manager made effective changes on the pitch in terms of that he put Caicedo back in centre midfield. What that essentially did to us was it stopped that movement in midfield that we had, Kulu breaking beyond the lines. They gave them a little bit of extra protection, which kind of, at that point, we were kind of a bit like, where do we go from here? What do we do? Where do we move from here? And unfortunately, Ange Postecoglou didn't do anything to counter that at all. One, because he doesn't have the players on the bench to be able to do that. And two, because he's sometimes a bit stubborn in the fact that it went well for 10 minutes. So let's give it a bit of time. So Luke said, yeah, I get that, Pete. He's all for a rebuild, but we'll see the quality of players we need 4 Levy. Is that enough? Now, I don't know if everyone saw it, but as Daniel Levy went up on the big screen today, he looked mightily unhappy. So we will see whether Ange is given that time. Unfortunately, I don't think he will. Pete says it's given all time. I think it will be good. In terms of Ange Postecoglou, I don't want him sacked. The reason I don't want him sacked is I believe in his style of play. More importantly, I don't want to go for another rebuild. Since Daniel Levy made the decision to sack Mauricio Pochettino rather than backing for a rebuild, we have gone through so many managers. And it's always the same thing. We go through the same managers, rinse and repeat. But the reality of it today is Chelsea won that game because Tottenham Hotspur do what Tottenham Hotspur do, and they make stupid schoolboy errors, schoolboy decisions, and allow teams to get back into games rather than killing them off. So, if you're at the game today, let me know the reaction of the fans after the game, please, because I would like to know if, I know Ange got a lot of stick after Bournemouth, which I'm going to come on to. Did he get a lot of boos today? Was there any discontent? Was there any Levy out chance? Is what I really want to know. So, Chelsea 4, Tottenham 2. Our score predictor, I don't think anybody got that right. Obviously, I backed Tottenham for both games this week, and I couldn't have been more wrong. So, yeah, Chelsea, obviously, Cole Palmer, I think he's brilliant. Obviously, he's got 2 penalties today and an assist, but I just don't like it. I don't like where we're heading as a club. I don't like the mentality that we have as a football club, and what is defined as success for an ownership. What is defined as success from an ownership? From our ownership, success is how much pounds we have in the bank. You look at a team like Chelsea, a success to them is what you have in your trophy cabinet. And this is the same theme against these top teams. So you cannot sit there and say that Tottenham Hotspur deserve to be amongst the elite because we spent a couple of seasons in the top 4, or we got to a Champions League final, or we ran Leicester close one year. We don't deserve to be up there, because when we do get to that precipice and in that cusp of glory, we don't have an ownership that is going to back what we need to take us beyond that. Which is why we'll always be the bridesmaid, because we'll never pay for the wedding. And that's a fact. We like the party, but we never pay for our own wedding. And the reality of it is that's how it's always going to be as a Tottenham fan. Now, I have said this before, but my family are Chelsea and Arsenal fans. So not only do I have to live with having Arsenal friends and family, but my dad's a Chelsea fan, my brothers are Chelsea fans, my sister's a Chelsea fan, my uncle Dave's a Chelsea fan. So I have to deal with the grief off channel as well and off screen. So for me, it's not fun. I don't enjoy it at all. But like I said, the ownership model is wrong. It's that's the main issue, not Ange. Ronnie, let's just jump on. Let's Ronnie. Where is the announcement? He is gone. Ronnie, I don't believe that he's going to get sacked. One, because I don't believe there's anyone good enough out there to really replace him. I don't believe it's all his fault, but I can understand completely why you would think that. ParkLane Pod Russell, FPL Fat Pod Man Russell. Don't worry, Ange always win the trophy second season. He still could. So he still could. But yeah, Johnny, it is just me, mate, tonight. It's not going to be a long show because I don't know how long I can rant on for, but it is just me. I want to hear your thoughts in the chat about Tottenham's ownership and about Tottenham's problems. Is Tottenham's problems Ange? Is it the players? Is it the ownership? What is the main issue with Tottenham? Why do we have to keep going through these cycles? Because we can blame Conte, we can blame Nuno, we can blame Mourinho, we can blame Ryan Mason, we can blame Stellini, now we can blame Ange. But when does people start looking above and saying, okay, we've been with the same owner now for 21 years and we've had 19 managers or 20 managers, whatever it is. So I just don't. I know where the blame lies for me, but I'm not going to sit here and say it because I promised I wouldn't. So if you're in the chat, I can see there's a few of you watching. So thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, apologies, it is just me tonight. Luke's obviously I thought it was just me. I got some help. Cow, my man, how are you?
What a load of bollocks, mate. What a load of bollocks. What a shit week, long week. And trust it to be me and you, the most up and down, nonsensical, argumentative people to be on tonight. But no, I think me and you probably share the same feelings, let's put it that way.
Well, I've been sat here for 17 minutes on my own talking about my frustration of Tottenham and where the blame lies. And obviously, I don't know if you saw it, but the things I said were Ange isn't solely to blame. I think he's partly to blame because some of the decisions he makes I think are crazy. But I think the mentality problem comes from the top. I think Daniel Levy is a poison, and that poison, what that does is it spreads throughout the club. It spreads from top to bottom. When you look at him buying watches for players reaching the Champions League final instead of celebrating them winning it, that tells me where his, what he wants to be as an owner. So the poison spreads down from the top. But where do you sit on this? Obviously, you watched. I'm guessing you saw today's game, or you saw what happened. Talk to me about today's game first, and tell me what you think the problem is.
Today's game had a multitude of problems. We was all overjoyed when we saw Romero and Van der Ven back, but when I did a pod yesterday on another channel and we all agreed that our medical department are fucking shambles, let's put it that way. We rush people back too quickly, then we get more issues, and then like Romero going out with a quad injury. Well, that's high intensity running that's done that. Then Van der Ven going down with cramp as well. Literally Johnson going off with a suspected hamstring injury again. So that's on the club. Simple as that. To say, well, if they're saying that we need to be a top level Premier League club and they're allowing players to go out there and do that, they're not instructing the manager right and all that. They should have the balls to go to the manager. No, fuck off, get out of our medical department and we'll tell you when the players are ready and all that. Don't listen to the players when they go, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, like Romero going off to bloody Argentina duty and all that bollocks when he's half injured. Then he comes back injured and literally doing all this crap for it. So, I mean, obviously H is in the chat tonight and I had this exact same discussion with him yesterday and the other night as well. So, I mean, that's the start of it. Then you go 2-0 up. Great. Yeah, we played well for about 10, 15 minutes. Then we let them get back out of... we let Sancho score, and then half time we're thinking, oh yeah, great, we've done well. We didn't actually have that great half, and then we literally fell apart. And I mean, Ange chooses this team, and I'm not anti-Ange. I think Ange is a good guy, but he's not the most adaptable person. And I mean, the amount of fucking mistakes today, 2 penalties, that's down to us and all that. Biss and Sarr, we think's a great midfielder, but he's still young. Biss, experienced international player who I think since he left Brighton has been maybe 30% good for us, the rest of it being questionable or just dog shit and all that. And now on the back of having given away a penalty, he's now suspended for Southampton, and we've now got the equivalent of playing Sarr, Maddison, Kulu in there. But then if Johnson's out injured, then Kulu's going to play Thursday, going to play at the weekend as well. So then do we throw in Archie Gray, who admittedly had a good game this week against Bournemouth, but didn't even get on the pitch today. So I mean, it's layer upon layer upon layer, and it's like you said, the poison starts at the top. We had this discussion with me, you and Winnie or Wes a couple of weeks ago. I was quite on the fence, saying, yeah, the club's quite well run, everything like that. Well, I think it's a toxic landmine now, just looking at it. And the problem is, Ange has become a mouthpiece for the club. Daniel Levy never speaks to the club, and Johan Langer don't have a fucking clue what's going on. Paratici did more interviews than him when he was here and all that as well. And obviously, he was a culpable criminal, as we see. And I mean, I don't think that much more of the club is much better and all that. And Donna Cullen, Rebecca Cablehorn, Daniel Levy, all these people who are business people are not football people. And I mean, Scott Munn is not fucking football either. I mean, we haven't even seen him at any games at the moment yet either, whether he's like Todd Klein doing stuff around in the background for it. But I mean, I think
I just want to pull up a couple of the comments, Cal, because they touch on what you said. H has jumped in the chat. Cheers, coming on, H. The medical team should be held accountable. I don't think the medical team should have any say in this, to be honest. And it kind of plays into this next comment from the Spurs. Ange played for them out of desperation for his job. And now, to me, that seems like the most realistic thing. Because if Romero's going off after 15 minutes, there's absolutely no way that he's ready to play this game. No way at all.
And Ange has even said that the original plan was to only play Mickey or Romero for 60 to 70 minutes anyway in his presser that he said. So, I mean, where does that leave us? So you bring on Dragu, and who else is going to come in then to replace them two? Archie Gray? Not fucking centre-back and all that. So, I mean, literally, we're at breaking point and all that. And there's a military term when you're going to be overrun and you've literally got nothing left and you're going to just drop bombs on your position. It's called broken arrow. I think that's what we're in.
Yeah,
we're literally fucking broken
touching
arrow.
on, I asked
everyone's going to drop stuff on our position.
I asked Phil I've been at the game if there'd been any booing towards Ange or any Levy out chants, and Wes's mum had said Wes on the way back from the match not really booing or chanting, and that to me is Tottenham fans in a nutshell. Because show you're unhappy. Because I speak to more Tottenham fans that are Levy out than Levy in. But yet when we get to a match or a big game, no one says anything. Why is no one chanting Levy out? I saw someone wrote in the toilet today at Tottenham, Levy out, get out of our club, Enoch out. Why are you not shouting that from the terraces? Why are we not hearing that a little bit more?
Because people are paid. People have paid their money to go there, so they're going to go for a day out and all that. So it's easier for us on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Switch, on Twitch, on every other platform to go about our discontent and all that. And the clubs do monitor social media. Like, that's how we stopped Fonseca getting the job and Gattuso getting the job here and all that. But realistically, the club ain't going to sell up. Enoch ain't going to pull out and change the directorship because they've got money in it. Money dictates the games and all that. And we can vent and vent and vent and vent, and we can get migraines. We can turn blue in the face. I mean, Dave will end up with less hair than me by the end of the year and all that from all of that stuff. And his missus will probably have a go at me for making him like that. But I mean, realistically, unless something happens from the top and there's a buyer to come in to take the club, we're not going to change and all that. And all the board will do, they will react and go, well, it's cheaper to get rid of manager than to get rid of a bunch of players. I mean, look at
Yeah.
United. They've just got rid of Dan Ashworth today. They literally had a £10 million that they paid out to Newcastle 5 months ago. They've just signed a four million compensation package for mutual termination. It's easier to get rid of admin bods and technical people than the actual people on the pitch and all that. And realistically, a chairman ain't going to go, so a manager's going to go. So realistically, Ange will probably be gone by Christmas if it continues this way, and we will all say, "Well, Ange wasn't backed, Ange wasn't this, Ange wasn't that." The club will just go on to the next one. Project's over. We're not going to get
Project
top
Graham
four.
Potter.
Project Graham Potter, Project Thomas Frank, Project fucking Roy Hodgson till the end of the season, because at this moment we're closer to the bottom of the table to relegation than we are to top of the table.
So I'll jump in the comments again, quick, Cal. That Spurs pod, you can see Chelsea go win that game as soon as they got the first goal. They were getting as far too easy. And the only thing I will say, Ange doesn't have a chance with the brain dead players on the pitch. And you are spot on. The players are brain dead. But he also says that Ange is out of his depth. So it's an interesting one there, mate. Do you think he doesn't have a chance because of the players, or do you generally think he's out of his depth? Johnny's in the comments, he predicted 4-4, so he was closest, just one goal off. And all the silly way we're playing, I expected the result to be worse. I didn't expect the result to be worse. I actually expected us to get a result here. Call me naive as you will, but I just generally think the way Chelsea play suits the way Ange plays. They like to attack.
I had a discussion with my old man earlier tonight, and he's where I get all my Spurs following from and all that. He's seen the good old days, he saw the bad old days. He saw Bill Nick when he was in charge and all that. And realistically, what we said was that we play better against the top teams because they leave space for us to get in behind and play the style we want.
Yep.
Every other club, i.e. Bournemouth, Fulham, any team that's low block will close up shop, and we have, coming back to the brain dead part, we have no brain capacity to think, oh, well, if we play there and expose and expand a little bit, then we get our style and all that. So you're completely right that a lot of people were expecting us to turn up and give them a game today, and we did for the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But then we just went, oh, well, we're 2-0 up, so game must be won now and all that, like what we did against Brighton.
Yep.
Falling apart. What was we? 2-0 up and we lose 3-2. This one, what do? We play the first 10 minutes and we play the last 10 minutes or that of this game. I mean, what are we playing? Yeah, what are we playing? Segments in fucking NFL or something like that? If we want to do that, we might as well go to the fucking NFL games at the stadium, because that's just another thing to avoid away from the football. So, I mean, literally, like the Spurs pod saying, Thomas Frank could get more out of this squad. I mean, there's probably players that he could get in from Brentford that would actually...
There as well, that he's Ange out, that he's not good enough. And that does seem to be a bit of a running theme at the moment. But this comment highlights exactly what my biggest fear is.
Oh, it's a fucking yes. It's another yes man. And all that. I mean, look at him. He was Mr. Wanker yes for England for so fucking long and all that, persisting. Yes, Harry, we want you to play. Yes, Harry Maguire, we want you to play. Yes, Jordan Henderson, you'll stay in the squad for so long, even though you're a bunch of dog shit and all that. And the problem is that I liked Ange last year because he would challenge the Premier League, he would challenge the club, he would challenge the players to do what they need to do. This year, we've broken another manager and we've turned them into a yes man. I mean, fucking hell, Tottenham are literally the most... Well, we can only talk about Tottenham, so we don't know if any other clubs are like this because we don't follow them. So I put a very big emphasis on that. We nullify people who are good professionals and fucking make them mouthpieces for Daniel Levy and he toxic bollocks, which they are. And I mean, literally, how do we get good players and all that and make them shit? Or we either get good players who we manage to nick off a club who are a little bit troubled, or we get really young players who may have a bit of potential, may do something. There's none of the good old days where you'd go and get Van der Vaart or something like that. And I don't know whether the project is set by Levy, by Scott Munn, by Johan Langer, by Ange, because we don't get this communication from the club. At least with Arsenal, you knew that Edu and Arteta were in each other's pockets. They was in the same bed together. They could look at each other and go, right, we want this. We're going to get it done. Yes, they had bad times where they made mistakes, but they made a lot better ones than how it is. And to be honest, I mean, if you get Southgate, that's literally Daniel Levy buying players for him and going, make that work.
Yeah, and
So,
this is this is the problem. And I know obviously Tottenham are looking for investment, and let's talk about Amanda Staveley and bringing in some oil money, which I'm all for. I know Luke is against it, but I'm all for it.
Apparently, even she's looking to turn her attentions elsewhere because she's seen how it's gone now and all that. Apparently, she's now looking towards the continent, and the pension fund is looking to go for a club like PSG, a Real Madrid, a Leipzig, something like that, to join a consortium group who have more stability, who are guaranteed to get something. That's how fucked it is. We can't even attract investment.
I mean, we've been called the top. How long we've been in the new stadium now? How many years?
5 years, 2019.
We've been trying to sell naming rights since 2019, and we're still called the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And that,
I thought you was going to say we've been trying to Neymar since then. I was going to say, Jesus Christ, knowing Levy's probably got some fucking calls in there.
He'll sign Neymar when he's 63, mate. That's what Levy would do. But look, I don't want to talk too much about Levy because I don't want to turn it into a Levy show because I'm sick of talking about the bald pricks, to be honest. No disrespect to any bald people, Cal, but that's exactly what he is.
I am a prick and I am bald, so I mean, but I'm at least I know how to invest in my team and my staff and all that and keep them going.
Just answer me this, right? Because I want to move on from the Chelsea game a little bit because so we're all frustrated and we're all a bit pissed off, and we can all look at where the blame lies. Just touching on the Chelsea game for you. Who was to blame for today? Who takes that blame? Do you think Ange has to shoulder some of the responsibility?
I think he's got to take 50%, and the players have to take 50% on this one because once again, him putting players in that weren't fit, of enforced changes, and then when he did make changes, I mean, when did he bring on Maddison, Bergvall, and Gray? That must have been let me just have a look. Sorry,
I think they were 3-2 up, 3-2 up at that point, or 4-2 up, 3-2 up at that point. I think.
Yeah, 79 minutes and all that, and we was already 3-2 down by 70. So once again, late subs again, but then we wouldn't be in that position of being 3-2 down. We might have been 2-2 if Basuma hadn't decided to fucking put his foot in and all that, and then I mean,
let's talk about Caicedo should have been on the pitch. I didn't think it was a red actually. Well, when I watched it back, I generally thought it was a yellow.
But Kulu shouldn't have been on the pitch either.
No, he should have been off too.
He elbowed Lavia. So I mean, there's probably Chelsea podcasts at the moment who are saying the same thing about it as well. So I mean, you can't fight fire with fire. And all that, simple as that. So, VAR kept one of their players on the pitch, kept one of ours on the pitch. 50-50 on both. I think Ange don't like technology, so, I mean, that's his prerogative to say it. But if we're going to say that Caicedo should have gone off, well, Kulu should have gone off.
He should have been off as well. I'm with you. I think the players and the manager are both at fault today. I think one problem with Ange, and I've said this before, is he doesn't have a plan B. His plan is his plan, no matter how the game's going. Again, what's so frustrating is that Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, to a degree, have managed to get their act together. The Spurs are still left wanting. And, I mean, we've been left wanting for donkey's years, haven't we? Let's be honest. And Spurs taking Kulu off and chasing the game by a goal. But the reality of it is, I want to move on from the Chelsea game. What's happened has happened. It's Tottenham all over again. It's Chelsea all over again. It's my family I've got to take the flak from because they're all Chelsea fans, as I said before. Which I'm not really looking forward to. But I want to move on to another disappointing game. Again, let's talk about Bournemouth. Let's talk about a 1-0 defeat to Bournemouth. There's not much joy tonight, Cal. Let's talk about that Bournemouth game. A 1-0 defeat. I was actually listening to it on the radio because I was driving at the time. But did you manage to watch much of it? Have you seen the highlights? What's your kind of opinion on that?
Another toothless performance. a lot of not very. It was a lot of fuck all and all that. I think we had about 2 or 3 chances in the first half. Second half, completely toothless again. Ben Davies was probably one of our best players, then went off with his hamstring injury. And then the only fullbacks that you've got are Archie Gray and Forster, who had decent games. I mean, on another night, Bournemouth should have been about 4-5-0 up. We once again conceded from a set piece. And I mean, the player who scored it, very good player. Once again, another one linked with Spurs and said to be too expensive for our mouthpiece, Daniel Levy, to cough up his money. But I know that's another issue altogether. But no, Bournemouth played really well and all that. I was really impressed. And I mean, Bournemouth have got a lot of big scalps this year. They've got obviously United, they've got Arsenal. I think they did lose today, didn't they? When I saw it, let me just check what their actual result was. Oh no, they came back and won again 2-1 against Ipswich. So they've done another thing that we can fucking do and all that as well. So, I mean, Bournemouth are a good team. I think if we was to go and get a manager who's pragmatic, could look at Iraola. I think he's a very good manager down there. And he did get Solanke having his best season in England sort of thing as well. He does play the same sort of style, but they just wanted it more. And yet they was without their first 2 centre-backs as well. They was playing Kirkes and Zabani in there, and they played a really good game, and we played a really shit game. And I fully appreciate why the away fans were so frustrated by the end of it. I can see why Ange felt it was painful, but I mean, didn't really get his team going to give the away fans anything, and they're the ones that paid their money and all that. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it wasn't anything to write home about.
No, I agree, Cal. And it does sum up Spurs in a way, because you look at the highs of beating Man City 4-0 a few weeks ago. We then went to Fulham and drew 1-0, which I don't think is a terrible result against Fulham. Arsenal going to get a 1-0 today.
But that was at home. That was at home, mate. That was a
that's true.
Mate.
Yeah, but you also look at Ipswich at home, and you look at Chelsea today at home, Bournemouth away. It just feels like. I mean, let me pull up the league table really quickly while we're in, because I want to see where we actually lie. And
I think we're 11th or 12th after today's result and all that, and that's leading up to Christmas. So
we are 11th. We have played 15, won 6, drew 2, lost 7. We have 20 points from 15 games. Now, I don't care who you are. That is sackable. That is sackable, mate. Like, to give you some sort of context, right? We are on... Yeah, you can look at Man United, but they're a different story altogether. But Everton...
But they've already sacked a manager, so they've already done it. They did it earlier.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Leicester, 15 games, 14 points. They're 6 points off us. West Ham, who have been told are absolutely having a shocking season, have played a game less than us, now 15 points. All you hear is how West Ham are having an absolute nightmare of a season. They're really struggling, etc. If they beat Wolves tomorrow, they're 3 points off us. And then you go above us in the league. Forest, 25 points. Villa apparently have an awful season, 25 points. Bournemouth, 24 points. Brentford, 23. Fulham, 23. So I just... Like, it's becoming really hard to defend Ange. And I want to defend him. Like... And I don't want to have to start a new cycle, but when you start looking at those stats, how can you defend that?
Mate, we had one of the joint top transfer spends in the summer, and we've spent more money under Ange than we have under the previous 3 managers, I think, since Pochettino. So he always says he has final sign-off on this. So we've spent nearly as much money as West Ham did. West Ham don't want to repeat going back to Moyes, but they probably will if they sack Lopetegui tomorrow after the game. So, I mean, where does that leave us and all that? And I think the only things that are keeping him in the job at the moment are the fact that we could have a cup run in the Cap 1. I mean, we've gone off it in Europe as well. So we was in a really good position, and we was top or second, and now we can barely scrape through. I mean, we've got to play Rangers, Hoffenheim, teams
Elfsborg.
like that who are all going to be. Well, yeah, Elfsborg is going to be probably our 1-3 hit.
That'll be NS Muir all over again, mate.
I know, exactly. So we could be out of Europe or we'll be playing playoffs. So that's another 2 games than what we fucking need anyway as well. So, I mean, where do we go? Where do we go from here? And in all honesty, I used to have an answer for you, but I don't think there's one answer that can solve it. I mean, do we stick with Ange till the end of the season? But then we said that last year.
Yeah.
We said have a season, that'll be his free hit, and then he's got to hit the ground running. Well, we're sort of back where we was last year, but we had this in October and November, didn't we? So
when he's hitting the ground running, his version of hitting the ground running is him competing against Bolton 100 metres.
Well, exactly.
You know, we have not hit the ground running. We look hapless. We look hopeless. I feel like the players have given up on him a little bit. You know, people not playing players like Maddison, etc. When in a game like today, I think is wrong. He said he was happy with those midfield options. You know, having to play Basuma and Sarr because you've got nobody else because Bentancur suspended is not good enough. We signed that Korean kid, didn't we? I don't know what Min Suk or whatever his name is.
Yamin Hook.
Yamin Hook, whatever his name is. Yeah,
Yamin Hook.
You know, he's been loaned back and we'll get him back. You know, we signed Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, they're players for the future, they're not players for now. The only player we really signed for now, the players we signed for now were Radu Dragusin and Dominic Solanke. Yeah. That's not a club that's looking to progress.
I mean, even Brennan wasn't great last year. Yeah, he's had a pretty good season this year, but I mean, even he's got an injury now. So where does that leave you?
Timo Werner.
Where's that leave you?
Oh yeah, I forgot we got Werner again.
Fuck off.
You see what I mean? And this is the problem, mate. So we can say, oh, we spent all this money and we spent this and we've done this, and Ange gets final say on these signings and on this and everything else. But when you're signed, you signed 2 players really for your starting 11, and Dragusin ain't even really for the starting 11. He's for the bench. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. Yeah. So I just think that we're in a bit of a mess again. Tottenham crisis. I feel like, there's more Tottenham crisis than ever. I said it before. I said it last week. We're the most bipolar team there ever has been. And it is so frustrating. But let's try and talk about something.
We got rid of 10.
Go on.
Well, just a quick one, just before we finish, mate. So we got rid of 10 players in the summer.
Yeah.
And they was all experienced professionals. We all said they weren't good enough. Højbjerg, Sessegnon, Royale, Solomon, Dyer, all of them. We said they weren't good enough. Right, fine. Draw a line on. And obviously, I'm a big advocate for youth players, but you've got to have that balance. And we brought in 5 players. Brought in Yamin Hook, Archie Gray, Bergvall, Oda Bear, and Solanke, didn't we? And all that for the first team squad sort of thing. And then we introduced Spence and Dragus. Well, he was January, so I mean...
Yeah, he was, actually, yeah.
So at least with them 5, we bought 4 players and 1 for joining us this January coming. And that gave us 1 first-team player. Now, Ange always goes, these people are ready to come in and make an impact. Well, Oda Bear is just a quick running person who hasn't done his hamstring. Yeah, he's just Darren Lennon or Lucas Moura for you. You've literally got you've got Bergvall, who can't even get on the pitch and has looked a little bit bright, but not great in the last couple of games. Archie Gray, I would say, is ultimately ready to play. So fuck off Basuma, give Gray a go, play him in there and see how he gets on.
I agree.
So then Dom Solanke. And Dom's been in and out, injured, all of that stuff. But Dom's got about nearly 10 goals and assists this season. But then that's where it stops, because then we're stuck with players who don't want to be there or shouldn't still be there. Reguilon, Richarlison, Porro, if he's going to go, fuck off. Romero, if you're going to go, fuck off. Sort of thing. Basuma should have been sold in the summer and all that, because he just hasn't kicked on. He's been there for nearly 4 years now, and what has he done and all that? So the levels that we want to be at and what we think we should be at, we're nowhere near it and all that. I mean, my brother's a bloody Arsenal fan as well, and he's quite realistic when it comes to them. When he says they're shit, they're shit. When they're good, they're good. Our players think they're better than they are and all that. And they
This is what I said to you before. You didn't hear. I was on my own, but I said at the start. I said Tottenham Hotspur have got this weird, like, we live in like a fantasy land where we believe that we should be amongst the elite clubs in this league. And I said, based on what? West Ham have won more than us in the last few seasons.
We feel like we're entitled to something.
And that's the problem. We're not entitled to fuck all. We've won fuck all. You know, we have won fuck all in so long. West Ham won a European trophy, called it the Mickey Mouse Trophy, European Trophy, whatever. They still went out and won it. You know, and people say, oh, you know, and this is why people draw these comparisons. But quite frankly, West Ham right now, based on what they've won, it should be classed as bigger than us. And we'll always be the bridesmaid because as a club, we never want to pay for our own fucking wedding. It's literally as simple as that. That is literally it in a nutshell. So, you know, I don't see it changing at all. Whilst Daniel Levy runs this club, whilst Daniel Levy is chairman of this club, and Donna Cullen or whatever her name is, are still sniffing around, and Johan Langer or whatever his stupid name is, who Aston Villa got rid of because he was shit. While these people are still running this club and making these decisions, we won't win anything. Ange won't win us a trophy this year because we'll get knocked out against shit teams. He'll get sacked, we'll bring someone else in. He'll get sacked, we'll bring someone else in. He'll get sacked, we'll bring someone else in. While Enoch and Daniel Levy own this football club, we will not win another trophy. It is literally as simple as that. That is my opinion. But based on Ange, Cal, are you Ange in or you Ange out? Just in an answer.
I'm still Ange in for the moment.
Yeah, same. I agree. I'm still Ange in right now. I'm leaning towards the fence a little bit more. I'm climbing that fence a little bit. I'm starting to feel, you know, a bit more towards Ange out. So I'm hoping that will change. But for now, I'm Ange in. I can see a few people in the comments still. Let us know in the comments if you are Ange in or you're Ange out, because I do want to know. I want a general consensus. You know, it would be interesting. But no, I've had enough talking about this shit. Yeah, I'm done with it. Let's move on to the score predictor. Bournemouth, no one got the scores right again. Chelsea, don't think anyone got the result right for that either, did they? So based off that,
I think I was closest.
I was 3-2, didn't I? Yeah, I went 3-1 Tottenham. So we got Southampton next. Where do I go here, mate? Because you know, Dr. Tottenham will see you now.
Well, this was the game that got Conte the fucking sack, weren't it? So I mean,
hang on.
This be a repeat of it where it gets answered.
Yes, this is gold. The table starts at 11. Tottenham are first, Newcastle second, United third. Maybe we should just do that. We'll play the second half of the table. We'll just look at it from the bottom half down. That's a great shout. But
what team does Nick support? Is Nick a Spurs fan or is Nick one of your mates taking the piss?
Yeah, Jay still in. Ange, and if you sack him, there's not a lot of options out there. No, I agree. I do agree with that. But our score predictor. So, like you saying, this is a game that got Conte the sack. This is the famous rank game, isn't it?
Yeah.
The famous, you know, it is Tottenham.
Yeah.
It is the.
I think, what was it? We were 2-0 up and we lost like 3-2, weren't it? Something like that. Or drew the game. It's fucking.
Nick's a Villa fan. Cheers for tuning in, Nick. I appreciate it.
Oh, fucking hell. But yeah, I mean, one of my best mates is a Saints fan. So they're having probably the worst possible season that you could have. But if they beat us, I mean, fucking hell, what does that say? They're literally bottom of the table. And you know they're going to do something on us. And all that. You just got the writing on the wall. I mean, when do we play? And we play Sunday at fucking Sunday. Is it Sunday at 7 o'clock? 15th of December. When's that? Yeah, we play next Sunday at 7 o'clock in the evening.
Jesus Christ.
So that is going to be a fucking Amazon Prime game. So you know how that's going to go. So I mean, and we've got Rangers in between as well. So, I mean, we actually going to have a squad for the weekend, or are we going to play the under-21s?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Obviously, I will say that, you know, I'm not going to put up the wheel because Winnie didn't get his scoring today. You know, he was the only one that didn't put a score in. So, score predictions, Wes has said Tottenham 3. Tottenham 3, Southampton 1. Luke's gone 3-0 to Spurs. Winnie didn't put a score in. So I don't really know what to do there.
Should we take a guess? We'll put Saints 4, Tottenham 2.
Yeah, let's do that then. It could be a 4-2 Tottenham.
No, 4-2 to Saints.
4-2 to Saints. 4-2 Saints. All right, 4-2 Saints. What are you going with here, Cal? What do you? What's your kind of thoughts?
I've got to back us. I mean, I have about as much hope as a chocolate teapot in the sun and all that. Let's put it that way, mate. So it's got to be 3. I'm going to have to go 3-1 Spurs and all that because Southampton are probably one of the only clubs that are in shitter place than us and all that.
See, I looked at this, and after today's game, and thinking about the Ipswich game, and thinking about the Bournemouth game, and how many other games there been where we've made clubs look like fucking Barcelona against us? I was like, do I go for 1-0 Saints win? Because we're Tottenham, and that's generally how I feel that it could go. But are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate.
Can you still hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can still hear you, mate.
Sorry, my fucking screen went all weird then. I was tempted to go for a 1-0 Southampton win, but I will go with a Tottenham win. I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham because I don't trust us fully. I don't trust it at all. So we'll stick to that. But
realistically, how you looking at it? Fucking Russell Martin he reminds me of Company and all that. And I said this on a show the other day, where plays like Pep tries to get, and he'll probably get sacked this year, and he'll go to a top job and all that sort of thing, like Company did to Bayern and all that. But realistically, he's one of them people, a mouthpiece that are fucking appeal to Daniel Levy and all that. So we'd probably end up sacking Ange, going for Russell Martin or something like that. I mean, what does it say?
The thing is, mate, it's whoever's going to be that mouthpiece for Daniel Levy, whoever's going to be, that person that takes charge or whatever is always going to listen to what he says. That's who we're going to sign. Nick thinks 1-0. I hope you mean 1-0 to Tottenham, or do you mean 1-0 to Southampton, Nick? Because I generally like to know. Like I said, it doesn't really matter who we get in. It makes no difference because the reality of it is, as a football club, we are at the mercy of that ball twat.
I thought you was going to superimpose my picture onto his head then, I was going to say.
We're at his mercy, mate. And so it doesn't matter who we go. It doesn't matter who we go with. So I don't know what's happened to my screen here, but apparently I've only been live and recorded for 1 minute and 51 seconds. So I hope that's wrong. Because it's definitely been a lot longer than that.
Well, it seems to be running live. We're at 53:19 at the moment on my end.
Okay, that's good. Well, look, Nick's gone 1-0 Spurs, so thank you, Nick. What I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this up because I need to go and enjoy my hobgoblin. That's not a sponsorship, but it's something that I need to. A hobgoblin is something that I need to go and drink.
It's good being a housewife, ain't it? You ain't got work tomorrow, mate. You
it's nice, mate.
Sit there,
nice,
do fuck all.
Just got to get up with the kids and take them to school. It's great. But I will say one thing is, to end this on a close. Tottenham Hotspur do what Tottenham Hotspur do. 2 games this week that are all quite hopeful and quite promising about. Instead, we're looking at 2 defeats a game. We're sitting on 20 points after 15 games. Whether you're Ange in or Ange out, I think the reality of it is we can all agree of one thing. We're all this man out. We all want him gone. He needs to leave the club. He needs to sell up, but it isn't going to happen. Now, Southampton on obviously coming up. Is it going to be Dr. Tottenham sees you now, or is it going to be Tottenham putting a performance? But whatever it is, I'm not very hopeful. But Cal, thank you very much for jumping on, mate. You saved my bacon a little bit. Saved me being on my own. But tell people where they can find you, where we're going to see you next.
So next, if I get a call from H, I'll most likely be repeating this podcast tomorrow night. But if not, I will be back on the Premier League show on Wednesday at 7:45. We have got all the weekend's fixtures to come along, and I'm sure we'll be discussing some other stuff accordingly because I'm sure some stuff will come out between now and then. There'll probably be at least one manager sacking, so I've got some great guests on this week. I've got Barney and I've got a number of others on with me, so it'd be great to have everyone come and join us. I mean, are you on Fat Pods?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We've had 4 weeks off. We were planning on coming back last week, but The boys had some issues, so it ended up just being me. I didn't want to do a solo show, but the plan is we are back this week, Wednesday at 9 o'clock. I think in the new year we're going to try and change the time a little bit just to suit the boys a little bit more, because a lot of them have got work and stuff like that and don't live the life of luxury like me. So, it's hard for them to make sometimes. So yeah, we are going to try and look to change. But I do want to say one thing about the Fat Pod Lads show. It is nearly Christmas. There is a competition running that if you are in the league at Christmas, and there is a competition to win a shirt of your choosing. Whether you want to choose a shirt and burn a shirt, that's up to you. But we'll tell you more about that on Wednesday. But hopefully we should be back on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. But listen, and if you get a chance, jump on with Cal on Wednesday over on Ange's channel. It's a good show. Crowd's a good laugh. But listen, I really appreciate you coming on, Cal. I appreciate you sitting with this bullshit with me for however long we've been talking. But as always, the letdown of the week at Tottenham Hotspur. And whether you're Ange in or Ange out, we'll all say the same thing at the end of the day. Come on, you Spurs, even when we're losing.
Spurs.
See you soon.